there, I'm Claire. You're watching Stitch and Sew. Thank you so much for joining me today for another video. Now today's video is a how to make a chapstick holder or a lip balm holder, or perhaps you might want to use it for your lipstick. So it's to make one of these lovely little holders here so that you can put your lip balm in there and keep it safe. You can clip that to your bag or to your keys, or perhaps the inside of your bag, so that you've always got it to hand. If you wear a lanyard, you could attach it to that just so that you've always got it to hand. This is a really simple make, comes together really quickly, and you need such few items to make it and very limited fabric, so it really is the perfect make to use up those little scraps of fabric. So the other thing that you're going to need, so you're going to need some fabric, a little bit of interfacing, or perhaps a little bit of fusible fleece, but interfacing is absolutely fine. You're going to need one of these lobster clips, or you could use just a keyring holder, or you could also use one of these little things here, which is you would use if you were making a keyring. So but I find on the whole a lobster clasp is probably the best thing. Okay, so I'm going to get started on the tutorial and show you how to make one of these lovely little chapstick holders. Okay, so we're going to be making a chapstick holder today, or a lip balm holder, or something you could put your lipstick in, and this is just a really simple design, super quick and speedy to come together. So what you're going to need today are 2 pieces of fabric the same size. Now those are 18 centimeters long by 5 centimeters across, or that would be 7 inches long by 2 inches across, and you need 2 of those. And then you need a smaller piece, which is 7 centimeters by 5 centimeters, or 2 3/4 by 2. And you'll also need a little lobster clasp. The only other piece that you'll need is some interfacing, which I've already actually attached to the back of this one. I've used a little bit of fusible fleece because I had that to hand, but it just needs to be the same dimensions as the longer piece of fabric, which is 18 centimeters by 5 centimeters. I've already gone ahead and just fused that with my iron onto the piece of fabric. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to take our smaller piece of fabric, and what we want to do is to create a sort of loop bit to go onto our lobster clasp. Okay, so depending on the size of your lobster clasp, depends on how much you want to fold this. What I'm going to do, my lobster clasp is about 1 inch in diameter there. I'm going to fold each of the shorter ends over by about 1 centimetre and just press that. I'm just going to do both sides. I'm just eyeballing it, but it's roughly about 1 centimetre, and then I'm going to fold those 2 ends over to match. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I am going to top stitch along this edge and this edge, the 2 of the longer edges. And what I would suggest you do is to either just pin or clip that into place, and then you're going to top stitch along the edge, 2 edges, and then I'll come back to you. I'm going to do that and come back. I have now top stitched along those 2 long edges, and then this piece of fabric that you've now created, you're going to use to create this section on your keyring. Okay, so at this point if you don't have a lobster clasp, you could trade it for just a keyring loop, or indeed you could use one of these clips here and attach this to this section here. Sorry. So you could use this section, attach this to this section here. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the lobster clasp at this section, but you could easily pop one of these round here, and you might want to just make those dimensions just slightly smaller, just fold it in slightly more if you're just going to use the keyring. But as I said, I'm going to be using a lobster clasp today. So what you want to do is take the section where you've fused your interfacing onto the back, and you're going to attach this to the top edge in the middle section. Again, you could mark that middle section. I'm just going to eyeball that and see that that's in place. And what I'm going to do is take that over to my sewing machine and just do a little basting stitch about 1/4 inch away from the edge. Just gonna remove that slightly and just overlap that just a smidge, just so that I make sure. So you want about 1/4 inch or even 1/8 inch along that edge, probably more along the 1/8 inch. So there we have it. I have attached this along this top edge here. So now what I need to do, turn it this way, maybe it'll be better in view. You want to put your two pretty sides, right sides together. Okay, and then just use some clips or some pins to clip it together. You just need to be careful as you go, as you use your sewing machine, just near where this lobster clasp is. Just go careful around there. Make sure your lobster clasp isn't in the way in any way, shape or form. And then what I'm going to do is to leave a gap to turn through. So I've just got a heat erasable marker pen or marker here, and I'm just going to put 2 lines with a gap of about 2 inches roughly where I'm not going to sew. So I'm going to sew at 1/4 inch along here, pivoting at each corner all the way along, back up here and down to this marker here. Okay, so all the way along, pivot at each edge, 1/4 inch seam allowance, finishing here, back stitching at the front and end to make sure that that's secure. So I'm going to go ahead and do that bit now. So you'll now see that I have sewn all along this edge, leaving this section just here clear. Now the next thing we need to do is to clip these corners. So just at a diagonal, being careful not to clip through the stitching. This will just help you to make those corners nice and neat when you turn them through. Now, what we need to do is to turn this through. So if you grab your lobster clasp, one end will start to pull through fairly easy. It's a little bit of a fiddle, but it all comes out in the end, I promise. Okay, so that's sort of one end pulled through, and then if you just get your finger and thumb, or your thumb in, and then if you just push with your other finger and then you can just push that through. Okay, so, and then if you can just go in with a little sort of turning tool, you could use a chop stick even, and just poke out those corners. You just want something with a sort of a bit of a point to it, but not too pointy. Don't go in with like a pair of scissors, because you'll find that you'll poke right through. Okay, got a little bit of thread just there. Right, so if we just move these little bits to the bin. Okay, and then what we need to do is to give this a nice press. Okay, so we're going to turn that edge in, push in all those little endy bits that I've got there, and we are going to give this all a nice press. Pressing in sewing just makes everything look so much nicer. You can kind of hide a multitude of sins with a little bit of pressing. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just to top stitch this bottom edge, so the edge that hasn't got the lobster clasp on, so not this end, we want to do this end. We're literally going to top stitch just along this top edge, just the one edge, and I'll come back. Okay, so I've literally just top stitched along that very bottom edge. Okay, so we've still got this opening is still open, okay, but we've pressed that shut. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fold our holder upwards, and again you want to fold this to not completely in half, so we're not going right up to the top, we're leaving a space for our chapstick, our lip balm, to go in. So I'm just going to measure how much that is. It's approximately I would say just under an inch. So what's that, 7/8 of an inch, or 2.3, something along those lines. You don't need to be too precise, but that's the general gist of the measurements. And then we're going to use some clips just to hold that in place. Okay, so we've got some clips, and what we're going to do now is we're just going to top stitch the whole way round this rectangle. That will clip, that will take into account the open seam that we've got on the side, and we'll just finish off our lip balm holder. Okay, so we're all done. So I've just top stitched all the way round the edge, and it is now ready to put your lip balm, chapstick, your lipstick in, and it's a good snug fit so that it doesn't fall out. Okay, so here's some different examples, ones that you could make for yourself. Now, if you'd like to change it up just very slightly, rather than using a fabric piece just on this bit, you could always use a little bit of webbing in this section. So you would use a little bit of webbing just here instead. That is just another possible idea, just to change it up a little bit. So there you have it, folks. I really hope this has been useful. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you found the tutorial useful. If you do have any questions, do let me know in the comments below and I will come back to you. As I said before, this is just the perfect way of using up those scrap fabrics, and it just makes a beautiful little gift, and also the perfect item to sell at a craft fair or on Etsy. So as I say, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope you found it useful. If you have, please do give me a like, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd really love it if you would consider doing so. But until next time, take care, happy sewing, bye bye.